Good evening, guys, and happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. So, since I shared with you guys yesterday, my grocery haul, I don't have a grocery haul for you guys today, but I will tomorrow. Jewel and Aldi, and we're gonna go to Menards. I don't know if I'll have a haul to share with you guys from there. But guys, today I woke up. I didn't wake up super early, but not super late. I was up around sometime between like 9 and 10 maybe. I think I finally started my day by around 11 o'clock or so. But so it was a little bit later. My dad actually got home, I think at like 11 or noon or something like that. So he was actually home from work like somewhat early. We were actually able to get a lot of stuff done. I finally ended up getting the deck power washed. I just wanted to do the floorboards because honestly they're just dirty from dirt from dogs running on them, from because one of the things that I've been talking to my dad about getting done, and I think we've said it now for like 2 years, but or maybe we just talked about doing it last year, but like we were really talking about it today. Like that's probably going to be one or next to the top of our list as far as projects go. Is there's a couple of spots in our fiberglass like deck roof that have got holes in it, and so it's been leaking, and so in certain spots where that is, the floorboards are very like mossy sort of, and like algae sort of, you know, like that green sort of, like I said, mossy algae sort of stuff on it. And so like I said, there's certain areas that need to be cleaned. Last summer when I cleaned the entire deck, so like I said, I just did the floorboards today, but when I did the entire deck last year, we had the lattice up. Now we've taken that down because we're going to do something a little bit different there. And so when we took that down, we're going to repurpose the lattice because today I was able to power wash it. It looks a night and day difference compared to what it looked like before. And I literally twice, right before I was about ready to power wash the deck, I was like, I'm gonna take before and after pictures of like the deck, and then also like of the lattice or something like that. I went to go get my camera twice or my phone, and both times I ended up forgetting. I ended up coming back in the house for something else. So, like I said, I didn't get any pictures today, because like I said, I love seeing, like, my favorite things to watch ever are people that do those, like, power washing, like, videos. I love power washing, guys. Like, I honestly wish that we had more stuff to power wash. Like, we really don't. Like, yeah, our siding maybe could use it, but, like, I'm not climbing up, like, 2 stories to, like, try and do, like, the siding on the top part of our house, and I'm not gonna be able to only do half of it and then be like, I'm just gonna leave the other half. And plus we're probably replacing the siding anyway. Like, again, maybe I can clean the bricks, like especially on the one side of the house, because we have algae that grows a lot of times, not algae, we have moss that grows a lot of times on this side of the house because of the sun. Yeah, sun, whatever. But we get it to grow a lot of times on that side. And so, like I said, it's sort of bad. And that was like on that side. The deck too was sort of bad. But where I took the lattice down, I also ended up cleaning, because I cleaned around it. So like we had the lattice attached to the deck. And so you could see there were spots where the lattice was, because you could see I didn't clean there because it was up against the wood that was there. So now that we took it down, I ended up cleaning it. And like I said, I also cleaned the lattice. But before that, actually, I ended up, because I was going to try and do that while my dad was still at work, and he got home like right around the time, like I had asked my mom actually if she would set out the plants where she wanted all of them for me to plant. And so I asked her if she'd do that, and then as I was like in the living room talking to her, I saw my dad was out on the street, and I was like, oh, he must have like just got home. So like he had a couple things to like do, get settled and everything like that. And then while like I said, you know, he was sort of doing that, I ended up going outside and planting everything. Our window box planters, both the front one and then also the back one. And we have a bucket, like a planter on the side of the house that's in a garden bed, but it's right where our dryer vent is. And so nothing will grow there, like not even weeds. But I don't know if it's from like the fumes, like the smell, or if it's from the heat from the dryer vent, or really like what it is. But like nothing will grow there. So we have a nice tall pot that actually goes above the dryer vent part. So, and we have plants in there that thrived last year, which was really awesome. So we just have that there, and it's a little, like, we just do little shade ones because like I said, the house is on that side, so it's all shaded over there. So we have that, and then in the back we have the window box that's on our garage window, and then I've got the 3 planters that are in the back. Well, I have 7 of those big planters that are in the back, but the 3 of them are for the bistro lights. Those ones we just put like the annuals in, and then we have the sunflowers came back from last year, and then also too we have a really nice big size like morning glory plant that's already growing in there. It's either morning glory or moonflowers, I'm not totally sure, but some of the sunflowers did come back and reseeded themselves, so I'm just letting them go. I didn't really want sunflowers in there again, but they're, you know, in there, so whatever. And I didn't want to try and pull them out and then wind up pulling out like the what's it called, the like morning glories or anything like that. But we did that because that's on the bird like sanctuary. We have the lattice out there anyway, and they look so pretty out there last year, so I'm just leaving them. And I plan on doing the morning glories there anyway, but the plan is to take the lattice too, and again this is going to have to be once we sort of get the roof has to be done first on the deck, because I don't want to put new wood on the deck for it to wind up getting ruined, because it's like, you know, gonna rain in and stuff like that. We plan on replacing the floorboards. I don't know if that's gonna happen this year, but we're also going to replace the decking, or like the railing for the deck, because the wood is really old. Just like the top piece of the decking, or like the railing, the actual railing parts are fine, but there's really ugly like thick long like railing like slats. They're actually, like I said, pretty big, but I don't know, I don't like them. They look sort of ugly. But I saw this really cool thing that you can do with lattice. A lot of people do lattice underneath like their deck to keep critters out and things like that. But I saw that you can do like railing with lattice instead, and there's a pretty simple, easy way to do it. So we have the lattice on the other side, which is where we're going to do our like grilling area now. But the lattice that we had, my mom originally tried to get stuff to grow, but again, because it was shaded on that side where the stuff was, she never really got anything to like grow really well over there because it was shaded from the deck to the like roof of the deck. So she wanted like vining plants and stuff like that, and nothing ever really ended up taking off over there. And then over the years we've just ended up changing what we want to do in that space. So now the lattice that we've had over there for probably 10 or more years, 10 15 years, maybe more than that, because honestly I think we put it on before Jack was born. So maybe close to 20 years we've had the lattice there, and it's still actually in fairly good condition, but we're going to get new stuff to run the lattice along the railing section. And then this old lattice we're going to use either in the garden beds, because we do need some lattice for some of our like the vining plants, and then also too we need we're gonna do it so that it actually goes up too, because we have morning glories that grow on that side, the opposite side of the deck, and when they do, they have nowhere to go. So a lot of times they wind up creeping in up on the deck. They go up the downspout that we have that's right near there. So we want to do something to sort of train them to go up and like sort of over the deck, and then it'll provide extra shade, extra sort of like that privacy. So that's what we're planning on doing. But that was one thing, I got it all power washed, and again, it doesn't like, that's why I want to use maybe those pieces for the garden bed, just because they don't look very new, and you know, like compared to like a new deck or whatever, the new stuff that we'll get on, you'll definitely be able to tell. But in the old, like in our garden, like vegetable garden, who cares, it's just, we'll just have it there to like sort of help it everything vine up. So that's the plan. But so like I said, we got that done. I got the power washing done. I did that, actually that was like the last thing I ended up doing today. The first thing, like I said, I did was all the planters and the window boxes. The only one I didn't finish, we had a couple extra plants sort of. So what I'm gonna do is replace one of the plants that we got yesterday, a hanging basket that we got yesterday. I'm gonna replace it with the ones that we got, like the not hanging basket, but I'm gonna make them into a hanging basket, because the plant is very tall and it just seems sort of awkward like in a hanging basket. Like normally like they're sort of like droopy flowers and stuff like that, and you can have some height in there, but like I don't know, this one just looks really weird. My mom kept saying, she's like, it'd be such a cute like ground, like, you know, planter instead of like a hanging basket. So we're changing that since we had some extras left over anyway. So I'm going to do, I think they're maybe zinnias or something like that. But then also too, I didn't have enough dirt, so that's why I didn't do that today, but we have to get dirt at Menards. And then also too, our bird feeder one planter that we have in the front yard, that one actually tipped over during one of the storms, and most of the dirt fell out. So when I went to go plant this stuff, I realized I was right where the concrete was for the where we like staked the what's it called, the bird feeder in. And so if you guys didn't, I think I talked about that when we did it like last year, 2 years ago and stuff like that. It's the same way we ended up doing the bird what's it called, the bird sanctuary sort of too, but also that one as well. We ended up doing them in concrete. We put them in like a concrete sort of block, and we ended up like setting the concrete, and then we put the concrete inside of the planter, and then we put dirt in the planter so that again we can have that where it's secure in there without actually digging it into the ground or setting cement in the ground and leaving it there like permanently. We can still take it out if something were to happen to the bird feeder and like it get broken or whatever. We can just take it out and just throw the stuff away. So that's why we didn't want to do anything permanently like in the ground. It's still movable. We can still get rid of the stuff if we don't want it, whatever. So that was the same plan with like all the other stuff that we've done. We do it in planters and just set everything though in like a concrete, like we just buy like dollar store, like what's it called, from the dollar store. We just bought those like mop buckets and then set the concrete in there with whatever we're setting, and then we just cut the bucket away, and then we just have the concrete set in there, and then we'll put it in the planter. And normally I have to drill holes around the outside because the holes get covered up from the concrete, but again, we've done this now for like 3 years and we've never had a problem with like drainage for the water or anything like that. Nothing's ended up, again, other than the one in the front, which was a really bad storm. It got tipped over, but it's also in a smaller pot sort of. But still, we really have not had any problems with any of that kind of stuff. And it still didn't even break or anything, but most of the dirt ended up tipping out of it. And honestly too, it fell over I think once before. My dad never set it properly back in the ground. And so because there was even worse storm I think before that, but because we have the squirrel baffle on it, the wind sort of like gets underneath it and sometimes can knock it over. So this happened like 2 or maybe 3 times now, but again, it's not super horrible. And again, so long as it's set properly back in the ground, which I think now it is because it survived now a couple storms. But again, there was something that, like I said, ended up happening before where it ended up tipping over and then I think didn't get set back right or something like that. Or something happened too, I think, where the top was like bent or something, so that's why it wasn't even like set properly. So anyways, like I said, I have to finish that one tomorrow, but we're going to Menards, so we have to get dirt for that. My dad was also partially working on the vegetable garden bed, so we can have another one. We should have it in tomorrow. We have to get the dirt at Menards, probably going to do that tomorrow when we do the grocery shopping. But my dad couldn't find the brackets that we bought last weekend, and then while I was sitting watching the Cubs game, once I was all done for the day and I was already showered and everything like that, and honestly, it was dark outside at this point. Like I said, we were all sitting watching the Cubs game, and all of a sudden, my dad had been looking for these things all day. I see them on the coffee bar. They were literally like feet right in front of me, and I was like, oh, look, I found those brackets. They're sitting right there. So my dad's gonna be able to finish that tomorrow. And then we're gonna, like I said, he has one board in and he has all the ground tilled, but we just don't have the other 3 or the other 2 boards, I guess, that still have to be in because he couldn't find the brackets because, like I said, they were hiding in the living room. So that should be in tomorrow, and then again, hopefully we will be able to get enough dirt to have that in, and then I can figure out what other seeds we have and we can still get another like set of seeds in. We also had gone through and looked at all of the vegetables that were coming up today. Our beans are already coming up very strong already, and it looks like our carrots, at least one variety of the carrots are, I think, and the beets, I think, or no, radishes, I think, were coming up, and I think a little bit of the spinach and definitely lettuce, maybe the spinach, but we also did spinach plants and then spinach from seed. But so far most of the seeds actually seem like they are taking, which is really good because I told you guys a lot of those were actually last year's like seed crops, so I wasn't sure how well they were going to do or anything like that. But I am super excited that we at least have some that are coming in, which is good. It's like better than nothing, you know. We had extra space in the garden beds. We weren't going to buy, we didn't start any seeds early this year, and we weren't going to buy a whole, you know, like tons and tons of vegetables from, you know, like that were somewhat mature plants already. And so we were like, let's just, you know, try some of these seeds that we still had left over from last year and see how they do since we had extra space. And a lot of them are working, you know, they're coming in, they're coming up. And like I said, the beans especially seem like the beans, peas, and I think that's what we planted. We planted like several different varieties of beans. Like we have again those scarlet runner beans that we did last year. We have a bunch of different like bush beans, and also some different types of, I think maybe 2 or 3 different types of peas, or maybe just one. I actually don't know. And we tried corn. I don't know if the corn is coming up yet, but it's in the area where we planted the beans, because some of them, the vining ones, I read about this, that if you have like limited space to grow things, some of the like pole beans actually can just, we have poles also, but they can actually thrive very well by just going up the corn stalks. So and like vining up the corn stalks. So because corn gets pretty tall, it just naturally, you know, it's one of those things where like you don't have to use extra stuff to plant it, and again too, you don't have to waste extra space because you can grow 2 crops in the exact same space. So useful thing, since we're, again, we don't have huge acreage of stuff where we can just plant as many things as we want. We have, you know, I think it's called, the type of planting sort of that my mom like sort of modeled it after a little bit is, I think, the postage stamp like method or something like that, similar to that. But we have like raised sort of garden beds, again, along our side where we get all of our sun. And so we have all of those there, and for the most part they are doing, like I said, you know, everything's done pretty well over there that we've had the last several years. In fact, we had stuff over there like even back when I was in high school. We had one, we tore that one out and put in a new one, and then we're doing them all down the whole side. My dad's goal is to get them all in this year, like be completely done, so that next year we have all of them to plan everything out. Because every year I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna have extra space, you know, like my dad's gonna add an extra 2 or 3 beds this year and get those in, or again we might get none in, and then I have to be like, oh, I didn't get this thing planted or that thing. And you know, like something like radishes my dad will eat, but like I don't love them. I would rather have zucchini. And like again, Matthew and Jack probably don't love zucchini. They would rather have like, well, Jack doesn't like tomatoes. He'd rather have lettuce probably. And like Matthew maybe would rather have tomatoes. I'd rather have tomatoes. But again, like there's certain things in there where it's like, you know, and maybe stuff we're not so good at growing that like I don't want to put in there and then be like, oh yeah, like we're gonna grow this thing or whatever, and then find out that like, oh, it didn't take, or we didn't grow it right, or you know, like something like that. And you know, like anticipating that again we're gonna have more garden beds, you know, again a couple weeks later, and then it doesn't wind up coming. So we can also always plant like late fall sort of crops too. Like the spinach and lettuce will probably, because it gets so hot in the summer, might not last very long and it might bolt. That's what's happened to ours a lot of times. But then normally we just save the seeds, or the seeds replant themselves, and by fall we normally have more plants. And by the next year too, like this is the first year we actually tore them out and didn't let them go to seed because we were thinking of moving them, and so we had new seeds though. Like I said, the ones that were actually from last year that we ended up using. So anyways guys, yeah, but the other thing we got done in between those 2 things, like I said, that I finished doing, we also at our in our neighbor's driveway, we have like these like bushes which are like dying. They have some type of disease on them, definitely can tell, and they're like sort of rotting away, but only like half of the bushes at a time, but it looks really ugly. Like they're super patchy, and like I had to take, there was like sort of like a weed tree sort of that was in there, like probably like, I don't know if it was a maple tree or something like that, but something, you know, something seeded in there, and there was like a little tree that was growing, so I sawed it off down at the bottom. It was clearly not supposed to be there, and like we have that problem, has happened a lot in that area sort of, but like I said, we were taking that out, and once we got the tree out, I realized how horribly patchy it was, and there was like only 2 like weird like little stalks that were sort of like coming up from the bush. And so I told my dad, I was like, just chop those ones off, because it honestly, like they used to be taller than me like when I was in high school, which I haven't grown since then, so it's like, oh, well, it's because I was younger then. But now they're like honestly like up to like here probably, because so much of them have died down. And now too, like I said, today especially, we had to cut a lot of it back because it just looks really ugly. And honestly, I was telling my mom, I was like, we probably, like, because it's sort of on our property line, so sort of want to include the neighbors too, but like to figure out like we kind of just want to tear them out and probably plant new bushes in there, because eventually they're just gonna die anyway, because there's no hope in saving them. Like I said, I think, I forget what it's called, but it's something like on the bark of the tree, and it definitely, like, or bush or whatever, and it definitely kills them. I think too, you're also supposed to sanitize your equipment in between, like your what's it called, like hedge trimmers, your saws, all that kind of stuff, because if not, you can transfer it to other plants, and like other bushes, trees, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to make sure we try and, like I said, get all that stuff like sanitized. I think you can just use, like, I don't know if you use bleach. I'm no expert as far as like plants and stuff like that goes. I just read an awful lot. But again, I noticed that that was all in there, and I was like, this is just really like ugly. It needs to be handled, needs to be taken care of. And so we got sort of that taken care of today. I got a lot of the weeds that were in there out too, because it's just like overrun. And also too, it's like over like our garage door. Like if we used our garage, which we don't, we can't even get in there really, because the bushes are actually like coming in front of the garage door. And then on top of that too, like my dad has pulled down all the way into the driveway, but you can't even get out of the door because the bushes are like on top of you. So that was the other thing I ended up doing today, and I did that because our brush pickup is actually the first Monday of the month, so I was like on my game with that, knowing that that was coming up. So I was like, that's a perfect time to get those, like that tree, little tree thingy that was in there out of there, and we can just haul it down to the street and they'll take it away. And we don't have to worry about trying to cut it up and put it in lawn bags and then, you know, send it out and stuff like that. So all in all, we got a ton of stuff done for today. I was very proud, but my arms from using the pressure washer, they feel like jelly, guys. I could not, I was like this for like hours. I couldn't like move my hands at all. So I already took a shower actually earlier after I got done, because like I said, I was covered in dirt. So I just really need to brush my teeth, put my PJs on, and I'm gonna go to bed so I can get up early to go to the grocery store and share that stuff with you guys. But again, because my mom's working, we probably won't be able to get to a whole ton tomorrow. Again, like my dad can probably put the vegetable garden bed in, because my mom's probably not really gonna even hear like the drill that's on the opposite side of the house, and it's outside and the windows are all closed, and so that should be quiet enough that again, she won't wake up from any of that. But we can now also to get the cabana curtains hung up now that the deck is power washed, and also to our bistro lights as well. That might be a project for maybe like next weekend. And then I think we want to start on our little grilling little area that we're planning on doing with the pea gravel. And so that I would like to start doing that as soon as next week, if at all possible. But like for the most part, again, all the stuff that was sort of on my list for like stuff that I really wanted to get done quickly, we got done. Again, bought the plants yesterday, got all the stuff planted today, got the deck finally done. So that again, it's like we have to move in like sections too, and it's tough when we really only have Saturdays to like work. So again, it's like power wash the deck. Okay, now all of the outside stuff can get, you know, like hung up, and we can have our normal like deck done. But again, if we're taking the roof off, which we might do within the next 2 to 3 weeks possibly, it might wind up being where we have to take everything down again. So it's like I said, it depends. But all in all, that was what we got done for today. I feel super happy, proud, accomplished, you know, all of those things. But I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, I'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.